Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public service announcement. For regular viewers and listeners of AWI Pod, please do not be offended, as this program contains good wrestling.
And welcome to the second episode of A Cup of UK Heritage. I am your host, Brent Piles, and of course, I do not ever come to these things alone. I've got my tag team partner. We're like the New Day, or we're like the Freebirds. There's three of us, but we're still the tag team champions, if you know what I mean. GA Wrestling Night, Glenn Abbott's here with me. Glenn, how you doing?
That's a good analogy. That actually, we're Freebird rule in the podcast world.
I don't know which one.
Only two out of three.
The mayor is Michael Hayes for sure. Yeah, he's Michael Hayes.
Oh, definitely.
I think I'm missing more teeth than you, so I'll be Buddy, and you can be you're the shooting half of this team anyway, Glenn. So you get to be Bam Bam.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah. I guess we'll just get right into it. We're going to discuss what happened on wrestling this week, and I really didn't watch that much wrestling this week, so guess we're going to get right into it. It is the semifinals and the final of the inaugural NXT UK Heritage Cup Championship. Did you got anything you wanted to say before we get into this? I didn't think you did, but
no,
I didn't think so.
No. I've done so much talking.
I can fucking imagine. Yeah, Glenn will have many plugs to do after the show is over. Yeah, so the first semifinal that we got to have a look at was Noam Dar taking on A-Kid, and when I saw this one coming up on the bracket, I was super excited for it because I had a feeling that this may be the match of the tournament. I felt that way when I watched the end of it, but then when I watched the very last match of the tournament, it changed my mind. So I guess, Glenn, what did you think about this one?
We used to say when I was showing Jeremy NXT UK for the first time and explaining British wrestling to him, how if you watch British wrestling, more so than American, it's perpetual motion. Even when they're in rest holds, in inverted commas, because there's no such thing really. That's the thing that's been made up by the marks.
Yeah.
These rest holds. But it's always a sum of moving parts. Nobody is actually resting. There's always something going on, trying to get out of the move, improve the move.
Right.
And you could see it with these two. Every headlock or every arm bar, and there was a bit of twisting and bending and turning. And
nobody in any of these matches lets someone put them in a hold without them trying to maneuver their way out of it or do something to try to get at least so they don't have as much leverage as they can get. They'll either, when someone tries to put them in an arm bar, they'll hold their hands together real tight. Or if someone tries to lock them, lock up their chin, they tuck their chin in real low. And that's just, you do see that a lot in wrestling, but at the same time, I don't think you see it, in modern wrestling as much as you should. Especially when you compare it to stuff like this, because like the level of mat wrestling in this, you don't get that in a lot of modern day wrestling matches.
The acid test is with so many more NXT UKs coming into the Performance Center and on the main roster, how the US audience will actually take to more mat-based wrestling.
Right. And I think it might get lost on the younger generation because the younger generation likes all this running around 1,000 moves a minute. But I think older fans like you, me, the mayor, guys like that, or people who are just have an affinity for older wrestling will appreciate the mat wrestling more. I hope that the modern fans kind of come around to enjoying more mat wrestling, but to me, it just seems like they could care less about it.
The good thing is the way that they will get the younger fans into it is when you've got the likes of Gunther and Butch that actually look like they tried to
Yeah.
hurt somebody.
Nothing Gunther
No,
does doesn't look like it hurts.
I can't pull. I certainly I can't call him Butch.
Yes.
Pete Dunne. Let's call him by his proper name. When he's bending people's fingers back or twisting your arm in, it makes it look like it
Mhm.
hurts. And you know, when somebody's chest is going purple, that Gunther is
Yeah,
hurting
there's no
them.
doubt about that. There's no doubt that that hurts.
No.
Yeah, so the first round was a lot of mat wrestling, a lot of reversals with about 10 seconds left to go in the first round. A-Kid, Noam Dar kind of picks A-Kid up and puts him on the top rope. And then the clock's about to run out. And most people would just leave him up there, let the clock run out. No, not Noam Dar. He hits the other rope, comes across, and just fucking flattens A-Kid out to the floor right before the bell rings. And I thought that was really, really great. One of my favorite parts of this whole match was that spot there in the first round.
Yeah, and the way that he just sort of slinks back to his corner, the referee's having a go, and the A-Kid's all upset. And
Yeah, I don't do anything. What? Yeah.
Me?
What do you mean? There was a one at the end of the rounds. I think that Dar might have hit him after the bell or something. Or no, he had him in the submission. This was the first fall. The first fall was that Dar got A-Kid in a submission and tapped him out, and he held on to it after the bell rang, and the referee was kind of giving him the business in the corner, and Dar just puts his fingers in his ears like a child.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so funny.
Yeah. That was in the third round. Dar picks up the first submission. Then in the fourth round, he starts really going at both A-Kid's arms and legs. Talk about target the injured areas.
Yeah, he was really landing the. Yeah,
which is
I mean,
logical.
that's what you would do. Yeah.
Which if you think, yeah, because especially if you've got somebody like A-Kid, who's basically a high performance bouncy wrestler, you take his base away from him.
I felt that times in this round too, Dar was kind of like toying with him. He slowed the pace. He slowed the pace of the match way down, which is what you want to do against a guy like A-Kid. And then he just started kind of toying with him. And maybe he got a little bit too cocky. You know what I mean? At points, as Noam Dar can sometimes do.
Yeah, and A-Kid, then it's just to get a fall back in the fourth, which is easy for you to say.
A-Kid tries to lock in a sleeper, but Dar counters it, but then A-Kid counters with a bridge pin for the 3 count. If you don't know what a bridge pin is, he kind of has like they've got hold of each other's hands kind of, and then he kind of maneuvers his legs forward and crosses them over Dar's legs for the 1, 2, 3. He kind of uses Dar's momentum against him because Dar was getting too cocky.
That was the one bit that was a bit suspicious. That it looked like Noam actually gave him his legs.
It didn't look like he. It was a one instance where it didn't look like it was a fight. Yeah.
No,
yeah, definitely. The 5th round was. This one really got going in the 5th round. A-Kid comes out firing on all cylinders. Dar manages to keep ducking out of the way of all the big kicks that A-Kid is trying to throw at him. It's funny because I talk into my phone and make these notes, and sometimes it doesn't register A-Kid or Dar. Like right here, it says darling instead of darling.
Yeah, I tried that, and it was all coming up with all sorts of things. A-Kid, about, and all
or like
sorts
when I'm doing a Trent 7 match and I say Trent 7, it just puts the number 7 instead of the word 7. Yeah, so it's nice, but not nice at the same time. So Dar follows A-Kid outside the ring. He lands a stiff kick to the chest and then gives a nice couple of kisses to the Heritage Cup. Dars then teases throwing A-Kid back into the ring, but A-Kid kind of does like a little 619 thing around the bottom rope and kicks Dar in the face, and it looks like Dar might be counted out, but he makes it in just before the 10 count. And then that's how the first round pretty much ends. No, they start trading just fisticuffs at the end of the round for about the last 30 seconds of the 5th round.
Yeah. Which is all his timing is impeccable with that. Noam Dar waiting to the last 9 and 9/8. So before he gets back in the ring. He does it in quite a lot
you
of his
get to the
matches.
point where you're like, get in the ring. When did you get in the ring?
Yeah, that's why he does
Well,
it
and I can
deliberately.
watch him do it 15 times, and on the 16th time, I'm gonna go, get in the ring. He gets me every time.
Yeah, that's right. So we go into the sixth and final round.
That's right.
Or
Because
will
if
it
it's a
be?
tie, we got to go to final. We go to sudden death, right?
Yeah,
Both guys start trading pinfalls for about the first minute of this entire last round. Dar hits a spinning back elbow and then a soccer kick, but he just misses the kick.
They put some stiff kicks
There
in
was
as
a
well.
lot of stiff
In
kicks
this
in this
match.
match. Absolutely, there was a couple stiff kicks to the head from A-Kid, I think, because my notes are all fucked up here. And then he manages to lock in the submission for the tap out and the victory in the sixth round. This is a credible match between these two. Like I said, before I saw the final of this thing, I thought that was going to be the best match of the tournament. I would say it was probably the second match of the tournament, second best match of the tournament. I really, really enjoyed it. What do you think?
Again, perfect as far as I'm concerned. It's
except for the one pinfall.
It just it takes me back to my childhood wrestling.
That's good. That's good.
It is. You can't ask for more.
And the next semifinal is the biggest man of the tournament versus the man of the tournament with the most experience. It's Dave Mastiff taking on Trent Seven. Obviously, the first round of all these matches, we might as well not even, unless there's a fall in the first round, we might not even talk about the first round of most of these matches because they're all just a feeling out process. It's really.
Yeah, the only thing about the first round I made notes of is Nigel started his name dropping. He didn't do much of it in the first match. And I don't know where we've been told, but then we got Bobby Moore and Johnny Saint within the space of a few minutes.
I think maybe he dropped less names because we only saw one match per show. He was dropping so many names, or we were seeing two a show. Yeah.
Yeah. It could well have been that during the show there was a lot more names being dropped, but just not in these matches.
Trent looked to be having some injured ribs at the end of the first round, and so Dave Mastiff slowly starts to work on them in the second. Mastiff goes for a back body drop, but Trent counters and tries to do a sunset flip. But then Mastiff, of course, tries to just sit down on the chest of Trent Seven. But luckily for Trent, he managed to get out of the way because that might have knocked him out of the tournament altogether if that had landed on him.
That's got to impact his spine though. The way he went down on
mass on him.
Right on the coccyx.
Definitely. And then the Mastiff hits a big cannonball. I don't know what you call that, but it's like a cannonball flip into the corner onto Trent Seven, and that no one's getting up from that. And he gets the first fall in the second round. And then in the third round, Dave hit a huge suplex on Trent Seven with about 40 seconds left in the third, but it wasn't able to get a pinfall. Trent hits his clothesline on Mastiff once, but it wasn't even enough to knock Big Dave off of his feet.
No. And then he's trying 2 or 3 times there to
get the lariat. And then finally, Dave counters it and then hits him with a real stiff elbow. Much like the first round match with the Joseph Connors, it looked like that elbow from Mastiff was going to put Trent Seven out for the count, but he managed to get saved by the bell and managed to get up back to his feet by the time of the start of the fourth round. So we kept this thing going, but I definitely thought that we might see the knockout at that point.
Yeah, he did. He definitely did a good job of selling it. Where,
it showed Trent on the ground, and he's got one eye open, and he's got one eye wide open and one eye closed. I thought that was a really nice sell job on that.
No, if there'd been like a cartoon, you would have seen the birds tweeting around his head.
Absolutely. Why are you running Lola back? That's another part of my notes that shouldn't be in there. I don't know why it says that, but it does. Trent is looking for a victory in the fourth round as he starts landing massive big moves on I'm reading this completely wrong. Glenn, what do you got for the rest of this? Go ahead.
Right. First of all, Trent pinned Dave in the second round.
God damn it.
And then we had the hard hitting big slaps and in this. So Dave Mastiff gets Trent up on the top rope, climbs up onto the second rope, so we very rarely see Dave Mastiff off his feet, but he's up there on the second rope and then suplexes Trent, which is amazing to see a man of Dave Mastiff's size suplexes somebody off the second rope.
That's not something you see very often, and usually when you see it, the ring implodes.
Yeah, and then round 4, that was when you got the drop kick and the power bomb, and then into the cannonball to get the equalizing fall. I got
my rounds all mixed up here. Thanks, Glenn. For setting me straight.
Yeah,
I had it right. I just had it in the wrong order.
Yeah. It's a bit more battering, and Trent tries to pick up
which isn't a good idea.
Dave and doesn't manage it. But then, with a little bit of help from the ropes again, he manages to get him up, which is amazing, and hits him with the Birmingham hammer.
That was really fucking impressive. I didn't think there was any way in the goddamn world that was going to happen, but yeah, that was really, really cool.
No, and picks up the win. So we have A-Kid against Trent 7 in the final.
That's right. We head to the they even show Trent, kind of looking, talking to the camera, looking at the cup, and A-Kid comes out and they do a little handshake. Which in between the semifinal and the final, there was a whole nother NXT UK episode that I've never seen before, and it's got Piper Niven versus Kaylee Ray in a Falls Count Anywhere match, and I'm gonna have to go back and watch that because I need to see it.
Go back and watch it. Go back and watch that. Yeah,
I definitely
will go back and watch that.
One of these shows too has the first Gunther versus Ilya Dragunov match, and I don't think I've ever watched that either, so I probably need to go back and take a look at that too.
Oh, that's the first one. That's the hardest.
One
of the
I'm
three.
Gonna have to check that one out. All right, and so the final is A-Kid taking on Trent 7. It's kind of like the young kid, the young A-Kid taking on the savvy veteran Trent 7. It's England versus Spain in the final. Glenn, how's that make you feel?
I didn't actually consider it that way.
That way because Nigel McGuinness said it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have thought it like that.
Yeah, I know. But,
it's just weird because, like, when you think about it like that, like a lot of these guys are from a bunch of different places, but you just like my small American brain just lumps them all into one country, and I don't know why.
That's because the WWE have just lumped them all into one country.
Wrestling has done that to me. Yeah. Again, this one a real.
And we also with Nigel McGuinness actually goes on about the origin of A-Kid.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he apparently in Spain his name was El Nino Anonymously or something, which is basically an anonymous kid.
Translated to A-Kid.
I think so.
Interesting.
Yeah, it translates to A-Kid.
As I think when I used to go on Piece of Business,
no, bloody
you in Germany, I used to ask, is A-Kid gonna ever become a man? But no, he became an axiom.
Yeah. An axiom.
A real feeling out process in the first round, obviously, as most of these matches are. Lots of good submission wrestling, a lot of good transitions, a lot of good stuff like that in the first round.
Yeah, rounds 1 and 2, there was not a lot to comment on apart from it was good wrestling.
Lots of good mat wrestling. There was a really good point where, like, I thought the A-Kid was doing some really good, like, bridge up work because he was, like, bridged up on his neck, and Trent kept trying to bring his ample-sized belly down on the A-Kid stayed solid. I thought that was pretty impressive.
I know they kept on selling that Trent had done a lot of training and lost weight for this, but he's still a hefty old lump.
I don't think
Trent 7. He was bouncing around on A-Kid there
Yeah, and
quite
A-Kid
well.
A-Kid was managed to hold tight, which I thought that was cool. It looked like he was trying to weaken Trent's
Mm,
arms, which makes a lot of sense with Trent. One of Trent's finishing maneuvers being that big short arm clothesline that he does. What's he call that? The
yeah.
7 lariat or something like that?
Um,
That's what it is.
7 Lariat. Yeah, the 7 Lariat.
Yeah. So A-Kid locks in an armbar with about 30 seconds left in the second round, but Trent's able to hold on and get saved by the bell here. And
Mhm.
then was it the start of the third round, Glenn, where he just came flying out and kicked fucking Trent Seven's water bottle directly out of his hand?
Yeah, big kicks. Yeah, big kicks from A-Kid. The bottle goes flying.
It really
This
did.
looks
Yeah, it really
impressive.
looked cool. It did.
Mm,
Because the water goes flying everywhere, and yeah, it just looked really
mm,
cool. And then he tried to like
yeah.
run across and do another kick, but Trent managed to sidestep it, and then Trent landed some really stiff signature chops to Aikid's chest. And I know that Trent that
Mm.
like that Gunther chops really hard, but I don't know. Those things sound like gunshots.
Oh, I've never ever taken one, but I can testify, having been just feet away from him doing them, that he lays them. They do look painful, and you feel sorry
I
for the
felt
person
sorry
that's
for Aikid
taking them.
watching this match. Yeah, yeah. The opening minute of the third round was just a goddamn slugfest. These guys were just like beating the shit out of each other.
Yep.
A-Kid then lands a kick right to the chin of Trent Seven with about 25 seconds left in the third round, and he gets the first fall. I do have that right, right, Glenn?
And- yep, you got that
Yay!
right. Yeah.
Barry Horowitz pat on the back for being able to decipher my notes where it says "Hey Kid" instead of "A-Kid." And then when the next round starts, A-Kid really tries to keep up the pressure, trying to land more stiff kicks. Goes for a quick pin, gets a 2 count. A-Kid then starts putting different variations of arm bars on Trent Seven, but Trent keeps rolling out of them. I really can't get over how good the mat wrestling is in this. I mean, it's just really, really good. It's hard to make people
Yeah.
entertain in mat wrestling for a minute or 2 minutes, but they do it.
Hmm. Yeah. This is real. This is real television
Yeah,
wrestling. This is. Um, I don't think, real credit to them, considering that this is 2020 and there was
yeah.
no crowd there at all, and yet they put on such a good visual show for just for
Yeah,
TV.
I mean, like the ambiance of it is really, really good. The BT Sports Arena was a really good place for them to do that.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. The whole ambiance of the whole show, and I'd never watched NXT UK except for the few that we reviewed when we were doing Piece of Business. I never watched NXT UK until there was no fans. So fans being there would be brand new to me. Like I'm used to watching it with no fans, so like it doesn't shock me. I'm just used to it.
uh, it never worked. It never worked in the BT studio
Yeah,
with
you're
the
right. It did.
fans
It was better with no
as
fans.
well.
You're right.
Um, it was better. It was definitely better with effort. The fans in the early ones that we've watched of when they were in
I
I
don't.
can't
I
remember the
remember
name
the
of
first
where it
two.
was now.
They're like
It's
the first four, actually.
the first two, yeah, where they were recorded them with fans in
Right.
a bigger arena. That worked, but the fans never really worked properly in the BT because there wasn't enough of them to get a good
Wasn't
atmosphere
enough to
from
start
them.
singing.
And they never knew whether to sit on their hands or cheer or whatever to do
It
most of
seemed
the
like they
time with the
gathered up a bunch
fans.
of people that worked for BT
So
Sport and said, "All right, sit in here and pretend to be wrestling fans." That's what it looked like.
yeah. Oh, I
Okay.
definitely know they did
Okay.
that because because even my very reliable source within the NXT UK network couldn't get
Oh,
me a
yeah, I
ticket.
remember that, yeah. So at the end of the 5th round, the referee kinda has a little bit of trouble trying to get these guys to break it up because they've both got a hold of each other's arms, and the referee is, like, trying to, like, telling them, "Oh, the round's over, guys," and, like, trying to break their hands up, which I just thought that added another layer to it because, You just, you would think because your second nature, you're in a fight, would be to keep on fighting. You're going to need to be reminded a couple
Yeah,
times that, hey, the round's over, go back to your corner. I
that's
think the
it.
fifth
Yeah.
round was my favorite round of this entire match. It was really, really fun. There was a lot of big, really good counters at the
Mhm.
beginning. Um, Even a big counter into a DDT by Trent to A Kid, which got a 2 count for him. I mean, I loved the fifth round. Did you feel the same way?
Yes, because there's that bit of jeopardy. Things were getting tight, and A Kid still had the
Right.
one fall.
And then the part where they were kind of like they battled on for position on the
If
top rope for like 20 seconds toward the end of the round, and then Trent.
yeah,
Go ahead.
if they yeah, if they shot the bolt early and given Trent the equalising fall, it probably wouldn't have
That's
been as
true because
good.
it was. I think it was probably the drama of the fifth round that really made it. You know, Yeah. That's what
It
made the
was,
last
it
2
was.
rounds of this match really, really good. It was just because of the drama of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so Trent's gonna hit a back body drop from the top rope on A-Kid, but he manages to counter it into a cross body, and he gets a 1 count because Trent once again is saved by the bell. So A-Kid is not able to get the pin here because the clock runs out. Which I love it when they do that. That's really, really good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, perfect timing again. So we go to round 6, and we get Nigel remind us that if everything is tied up after 6 rounds, it goes to
Yeah,
sudden death.
Trent's scrambling in the last round here, trying to level up here so we can go to extra time. If we're talking in soccer
Mhm.
terms, he had a couple of really big moves,
Yeah,
including a dragon suplex and a what do they call that thing where you pick him up and slam him down on your? I know Seth Rollins does it, but I can't remember what it's fucking called. Where you pick him up for a suplex and then you slam him on their back.
bench press.
I don't know what that's fucking called.
Yeah, that's a pre oh, it's a something press,
I can't think of what it's called. Something like that.
overhead
I'm not
press or
sure. I don't know.
something.
It was that, and
Yeah.
he got a 2 count. Then A-Kid rolls up Trent, almost wins the match, but does not. Trent then hits that short arm clothesline that we talk about, but A-Kid still kicks out. And then Trent looks like he's gonna do something else, but then he ends up landing a burning hammer on A-Kid with about a minute and 40 seconds left. But that still does not get the 3 count from A-Kid because he's got his foot underneath the bottom rope.
The rope.
I also
Yeah.
love during this match there were times where Trent was just like, ah, because he was so frustrated.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. It added so much to it.
And that was definitely one of them. And that was definitely one of them. Uh, the thing is, that's his own fault because he hit him so close to the rope that he didn't even need to put his foot
No, it's
out,
already under.
really. It was there under the rope. Yeah, so the
That's
referee
right.
did the right thing. It's a rope break.
So 7 still needs a fall. A-Kid tries to lock in an armbar, but Trent rolls through and then puts all of his body weight on A-Kid's legs for the 3 count, and we tie things up in a very dramatic fashion here at the end of the round. And now we head to sudden death, which commences with both men slapping the piss out of each other at the beginning of the sudden death round.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Just carried on hitting each
Yeah, and then
other
they ended up
hard.
out on the apron, and then they
Then
were sort of trading kicks as they were sitting, and then they both stood up, and then they were trading punches. And then A-Kid did this really cool thing where he kind of like he put his hand on the top rope and his other hand on the apron, and he just kicked both of his feet straight up and hit Trent right in the face. But then Trent immediately countered that
yeah.
up by picking A-Kid up and then just slamming him all the way off of the apron down to the floor. Which at that point,
Yeah, that was
yeah, at that point I thought it was
vicious.
over. It's like, oh, this is gonna end in a fucking count out.
Oh,
Yeah, it doesn't.
no, slam onto the mat is bad enough, but he just picked him up and slammed him onto the
Yeah,
concrete.
without any, he didn't care where he landed either. He just kind of threw him. A-Kid
No.
does the same thing kind of that Noam Dar did in his match, where he gets to like 9 7/10 and manages to get back into the ring. Uh, Trent tries to lock in an armbar, but A-Kid counters, trying to put in. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a part here. Um, Trent
That's
lands
right.
his that big short arm clothesline on A-Kid. He tries to pick A-Kid up for another one, but then he changes his mind and kind of loads A-Kid up for the Birminghammer. But A-Kid flips out of it, lands a big kick to Trent Seven's face. That's what happened, right?
Yeah, and then goes into the
we go into the
armbar.
arm bar. Kid
And
counters
gets,
with the crucifix. I think that's what he calls the
and
submission maneuver, right?
yep, that's it. And then Trent taps out. Well, he doesn't tap out. He gives a verbal tap, as they call it, because he had both his arms tied up, so he couldn't actually tap.
He couldn't get his hands free. Yeah, it was very close to the ropes, and then A-Kid's able to full extension of the arm, wrap it up with the leg, and then Trent's got no choice but to give it up. And A-Kid is the first.
That's the first time I'd seen that as well. He used the extra leverage from his leg to bend that arm back even further.
Yeah, well, when you get into a battle like this, you got to do something.
That's impressive. Oh yeah, but it looked impressive. It was the first time I see it.
It was really, really good. Now now after watching that one, I'm gonna go with that match was the best match of the inaugural tournament for me. Would you agree or disagree?
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. Yeah, but yeah. And the right person won, actually.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I don't think Trent Seven obviously didn't need to win the Heritage Cup Championship.
It was no, and it was too early for Noam Dar to win it.
A-Kid was the perfect person, especially at this point because they're they're trying to push A-Kid to another level, and I think they really did that by putting the cup on him first.
That's right. And it taking Tyler Bate to get it off.
Yeah, I don't even know where we go next or what matches come up next. But we are going to step away from the tournament, but we are going to continue our road down multiple more NXT UK Heritage Cup matches. Glenn, what do you need to plug before we get out of here?
Well, where do we start? Start with on Wednesday, I was invited onto Bang Bang Podcasts. Andy and I discussed the NXT Takeover Unstoppable from May the 20th, 2015, which included, if I can find the results.
I know for a fact got
Dash
Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch.
Yep, Finn Balor against Tyler Breeze, which was a very good match. Bayley and Charlotte defeated Dana Brooke and Emma, and you have to listen to it for my views on that one.
I have a feeling I think I might know some of them, Glenn.
Yeah. Sasha and there was Blake Murphy against Big Cass and Enzo. Sasha Banks against Becky Lynch. Kevin Owens getting his as a champion. Sammy having his return with him with a surprise ending.
I'll be out on
so
Monday,
give that a listen.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It did.
So it's already out because today's Wednesday. Sorry,
same day that Warrior
or the past. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And of course, with you, I've already sat down with you this week as we've done Warrior Attitude.
It's out now.
And there's more to come.
There is more.
Gonna watch some dodgy wrestling later.
We recorded this on Friday. We put this out on a Wednesday. We recorded on Friday. Tonight we will be recording an episode of The Mayor of Superstars. We are on the road to WrestleMania 9, Glenn. You can check that out right now on your favorite podcast app. It came out on Sunday.
Can't wait.
You can listen to Warring Attitude, which came out on Tuesday, and you could, of course, listen to this now. I hope you guys get a fucking enough of listening to our voices because it sure is a lot.
As Andy said, you're everywhere. I said, yeah. And even the guys, they're at the Doctor Who podcast are in their fourth series. In their full series at the moment. They've got all their guest spots lined up for Series 4, but they've already got me penciled in for Series 5. So that's something else I'm adding to my list of podcasts.
As the mayor said, if you hit play on any podcast, this week, Glenn's on it.
Considering that I only started to do one, and that's all I intended to do. I suddenly ended up
Well, Glenn, I
everywhere.
guess that's what happens when you're worldwide. Anyway, make sure you give our buddy, our other
Yeah.
co-host, the other member of our Freebirds, the Mayor of Canton, a follow at Mayor of Canton on Twitter. Check out the Meal with the Mayor every Wednesday.
Yeah, watch him eat ice cream this week. It's
Ice
delicious.
cream gives me gas.
Just
And make sure you check out Sports Wire Radio and give our buddy Thomas Bryce a follow, of course, at Thomas Bryce 2017. Glenn, is there anything else you got to plug?
No, I'll do the other plugs.
We
on
plug
one
them
of the
all
other
anyway,
shows.
so it's fine. All right, so the only thing left to do is for Glenn to say goodbye.
Goodbye.